I was 17 when they wheeled Mark out in a body bag. The paramedics moved like they had all the time in the world, but Mark didn't. He ran out 3 hours ago when Mom decided her boyfriend mattered more than refilling his inhaler. I stood in the driveway watching them load my little brother into the ambulance. No sirens, no rush, just red and blue lights painting our house like some twisted carnival. Mom was inside on the phone, crying to her sister about how none of this was her fault. Mark was 15. He loved basketball and terrible rap music that made me laugh. He had dreams of playing college ball. Now he was gone because our mother couldn't be bothered to stop at the pharmacy. My hands shook as I watched the ambulance doors close. Something inside me turned to stone right there on that cracked driveway. She would pay for this. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday I'd make sure she understood exactly what she took from us, from me. This was my promise, and I meant every word. The funeral was small. Mom wore black and dabbed at her eyes with tissues her boyfriend kept feeding her. She played the grieving mother perfectly, accepting hugs from neighbors who didn't know the truth. I sat in the front row beside Grandma, who gripped my hand so hard my fingers went numb. During the service, Mom gave a speech. She talked about how much she loved Mark, how he was her special boy, how she'd give anything to have him back. I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and tell everyone she'd ignored his wheezing for 2 days, that she'd promised to get his medication but got drunk instead, that she waited 20 minutes before calling 911 because she was afraid they'd find her stash. But I didn't scream. I sat there planning. Grandma squeezed my hand and whispered, "I know, baby. I know." After they lowered Mark into the ground, I stayed behind. I pressed my palm against his casket, still warm from the sun, and made my vow again. Justice was coming. Slow and careful. But it was coming. People think abuse is always bruises and broken bones. Sometimes it's quieter than that. Mom never hit us much, but she knew exactly how to make us feel worthless with just her words. I was the oldest, so I caught the worst of it. Mark was her favorite for a while until he got sick and became inconvenient. Then there was Alicia, our baby sister. Mom had her when I was 12, Mark was 10. Different father, same problems. I basically raised Alicia while Mom partied through the nights. I'd change diapers before school, make bottles at 3 a.m., rock her back to sleep while Mom stumbled home at dawn. Mark would sneak into the nursery to check on her when I was tired. We were my team, the three of us against the chaos swirling around us. Mom told people she was a single mother doing her best. She'd post pictures on Facebook of us smiling, captions about being blessed and grateful. But behind closed doors, we went hungry more often than not. Our clothes came from donation bins. Mom's money always went to her boyfriends, her habits, anything but us. Alicia drowned when she was 2 years old. We had this cheap inflatable pool in the backyard, the kind you get at dollar stores. It was July, blazing hot, and I had been watching her splash around in her little pink swimsuit. I was 14. Mom came outside and told me to run to the store for cigarettes. I said Alicia was in the pool. Mom waved me off and said she'd watch her just go. I shouldn't have left. I knew better. But I was so tired of fighting, so exhausted from being the only responsible person in that house. I walked to the corner store, maybe 15 minutes total. When I got back, Mom was inside on her phone, laughing about something. I heard the silence before I saw it. No splashing, no little voice singing. I ran to the backyard and found Alicia floating face down, her dark hair spread out like seaweed. I jumped in screaming, pulled her out, tried CPR like they taught us in school. Nothing worked. Mom finally came outside when she heard me screaming. She acted shocked, started shrieking, called 911, but I saw it in her eyes before she looked away. She'd forgotten. She had simply forgotten her baby was in the pool. After Alicia died, Child Protective Services came knocking. Someone at the hospital must have reported us. They asked questions, poked through our filthy house, checked our rooms. The social worker was a tired woman named Mrs. Chen who kept scribbling in her folder. She asked me if I felt safe at home. I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell her everything. But Mom was standing right there in the doorway, her eyes burning into the back of my head. I knew what would happen if I talked. So I said we were fine. Everything was fine. Mrs. Chen didn't believe me. I could see it in her face. She talked to Mark too. He was 12 then, all skinny arms and fear. He told her the same thing. We were fine. Everything was fine. CPS launched an investigation anyway. They came back 3 more times over the next month. Mom cleaned up for their visits, hid her bottles, performed her good mother routine. She coached us before they arrived, promising things would change if we just helped her through this. Mark and I wanted to believe her. The investigation closed. Insufficient evidence. Mom celebrated by getting drunk and leaving us alone for 2 days straight. After CPS left us with her, Mom's resentment grew teeth. She started calling me the demon child, said everything wrong in her life started the day I was born. She said I was why Dad left, why she couldn't keep jobs, why Alicia died. That one cut the deepest because part of me believed it. I should have refused to go to the store. I should have stayed. Mom knew exactly where to twist the knife. She'd scream at me for hours about how I ruined everything, her voice echoing through the thin walls. Mark would hide in his room during these episodes. I didn't blame him. I was 16, counting down days until I could leave. But then Mark's asthma got worse. The doctor said he needed daily medication and an emergency inhaler. Mom was supposed to handle it, but she'd forget or claim we couldn't afford it. I started babysitting and cleaning houses, skipping lunch to buy his medicine myself. Mom noticed and got angry that I was making her look bad. She said I was being dramatic, that Mark was fine. I hated her so much I could barely breathe around her. 2 months before Mark died, I moved in with Grandma and Grandpa. Mom didn't fight it. She seemed relieved to have one less mouth to feed, one less witness to her choices. I begged Mark to come with me, but he shook his head and said someone had to stay and keep an eye on her. He was braver than I'd ever be. Grandma lived across town in a small house that smelled like coffee and fresh laundry. It was the first time I'd felt safe in years. Grandpa was quiet but kind, making me breakfast before school and actually asking about my day like it mattered. Grandma helped me catch up on homework I'd been failing. For 2 months, I had peace. But I called Mark every night. He'd tell me Mom was getting worse, drinking more, bringing home men with dead eyes. He said his inhaler was almost empty. I told him to tell Mom. He said he had multiple times. She kept saying, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. I should have gone back. I should have dragged him out of that house by force. Instead, I stayed safe at Grandma's, wrapped in clean sheets and quiet mornings. And Mark paid the price for my freedom. After the funeral, Mom got hurt in a bar fight. Some woman's boyfriend wandered over and Mom flirted back hard enough to earn a black eye and sprained wrist. She came home crying about how unfair life was to her. Grandma let her crash on the couch for a few days. The doctor prescribed pain medication, the serious kind. I watched Mom take 1 pill and pocket the rest. I knew what she was doing. She had done it before with other prescriptions, selling them or hoarding them for bad days. An idea started forming in my head. Small at first, barely a whisper, but it grew louder. I started paying attention to which pills she took, what she saved, who she talked to on the phone. I started documenting everything in a journal hidden under my mattress. Times, dates, conversations, actions. I didn't know exactly what I'd do with the information yet, but Mark's death was still raw, still burning a hole in my chest. And I knew one thing for certain. This was just the beginning of her downfall. I would be patient. I would be smart. And when the time came, I'd make sure she finally faced real consequences. 6 months after Mark died, Mom got a UTI. She crashed her car into a mailbox at 3 a.m, twice the legal limit in her blood. No one was hurt, except her pride. She called Grandma from jail, sobbing and begging for bail money. Grandma said no. It was the first time I'd ever heard her refuse Mom anything. Mom stayed in jail for 3 days before her boyfriend scraped together the cash. She lost her license for a year. Her car was totaled. She had court dates and fines piling up like unpaid bills. I felt nothing when Grandma told me. No satisfaction, no pity, just a hollow space where feelings used to be. Mom tried to spin it as bad luck, said the cop was targeting her, but everyone knew the truth. She was spiraling faster now, losing control. At her sentencing, the judge gave her probation and mandatory AA meetings. Mom played sorry in court, All tears and promises of change. I sat in the back row and watched her performance. The judge bought it. They always did. She walked out with a suspended sentence and a smirk she thought no one noticed. But I noticed. I noticed everything now. Mom lost her apartment after the UDI. Without a car, she couldn't get to work. Without work, she couldn't pay rent. Grandma, too kind for her own good, said Mom could stay with us temporarily. I protested. I yelled that I'd leave if Mom came. But it was Grandma's house. Grandma's rules. Mom moved in with 2 garbage bags of clothes. She was supposed to follow strict rules. No drinking, no visitors, help with housework, find a job. She followed them for about a week. Then the old pattern slithered back. She'd sleep until noon, leave messes everywhere, complain about how hard her life was. She treated Grandma like hired help and me like I was invisible. Sometimes she'd look at me, and I could see pure hatred